Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of News Reviews. I'm going to look at every aspect of three different types of news, and I'm going to do my best to exclude any bias because I am not biased against any particular belief. I'm not biased against LGBTQIA. I'm not biased against BLM. I'm not biased against flat Earth or spinning globe Earth or the Trump stuff, the political stuff. I'm the only bias I have is against deception and lies. I am against the agenda of deception and lies. And so I can point out where there's deception in every news source because if a news source is allowed to be popular and make millions of dollars, or they can spend millions of dollars to be popular, either way, they have an agenda and they are part of the system. There's no news source out there that is truly giving 100% truth and is popular with millions of followers. It took me years to get 250,000 followers back before I left social media altogether. And that was shadow banned, very difficult. And for people to have millions and millions of followers without succumbing to the agenda is just impossible. So, with that said, I'm going to start off with the middle of the road, supposedly middle of the road, with Fox News. A lot of patriots and conservatives and Christians will listen to Fox News, and they have an agenda too. When I had the 250,000 followers before, I would tell people Fox News can't be trusted, and they would blast me like crazy, like, "Oh my gosh, what are you talking about?" Well, it turned out now they understand Fox News can't be trusted. CNN, these places can't be trusted. And so now they look to other sources. Um, the ones who are waking up don't watch Fox News anymore. But we're still going to look at Fox News and just see how they are biased. And they're just like middle left, a little bit biased towards the left agenda. Usually it's just a little bit. Then we're going to look at the extreme left, which is like MSNBC, run by Bill Gates. And you'll see just so much of the manipulating titles and the article titles. It's very manipulating, and you'll really start to see the way I break it down. You'll notice what their agenda is and what they're trying to push. Then I'm going to look at the other side, the ultra conservative is the Gateway Pundit, but they can't be trusted either. I've seen agenda in their stuff, but to the other extreme, in a way that tries to get Trump supporters or Christians to either have fear of something or to push an agenda that maybe you'll go out and start talking about something and then you'll look like an idiot. Or they'll push something that isn't a good talking point or a good argument for that topic. And it's really all to discredit and deceive even the Gateway Pundit. And I know some things behind the scenes about Joe and Jim Hoft that give me pause anyway. So, moral of the story, you really just can't trust anybody these days with the news. And yeah, well, there you have it, folks. So anyway, I think I'm going to leave the webcam on just so you can kind of follow my expression and I guess see how I scan these things. I'm going to scan this stuff very quickly. This will be my first reaction to things, and I'm going to make a lot of assumptions about the titles because at this point in my life, I do not spend time reading every single article. Plus, it would take 20 hours to read all the articles that come out a day. And I mean, not even all of them, just like a small fraction. Just hitting the highlights would take all day. And there's no real need for that because I collected so much truth for 30 years. I have so much evidence and truth in my archive. And what I realized is at this point, 4 or 5 years ago, we were approaching a point with artificial intelligence. I could see advertisements created by artificial intelligence, websites created by artificial intelligence. audio and video recordings created by artificial intelligence. So there's too much risk of something being fake. And the agenda there is that they put so much information out there that a lot of it is misinformation. And it's to the point where you just cannot take the time and still live life if you're trying to figure out what the truth is. So at this point, either you know, or you better wake up real quick, because moving forward is going to be really hard to know the truth. It's going to get harder, especially as AI gets much better. And I think it already is better. I think they're releasing it in small doses. But uh, anyway, there's a whole series that I'm going to do on artificial intelligence and the agenda there. But this is about news reviews. So let's get started. So this is Fox News. It thinks I'm in Chicago, and so it's going to send me Chicago-related ads and stuff like that. Fox News is retarded because they won't allow you to skip the ads, and immediately you get this huge advertisement. Like, I would never come back to this site. They are so desperate for revenue dollars from Christians and patriots and conservatives that they're going to just grift for all the ad dollars they can get. And they're using it against us, so don't give it to them. I'm going to give it to them so you don't have to. All right, so anyway, we move on. First heading here, Supreme Court issues ruling on Trump-era bump stock ban. All right, immediate thought is, yeah, they're trying to take your guns, and the liberals will make fun of us for saying they're trying to take our guns. They haven't been able to do that in 20 years, but it's happening. They do want to take the guns, but they got to wait for the right timing. They've got to make people so weary of the whole back and forth gun thing that the weak-minded people will just say, who cares? Who cares? Well, you should care. Oh, I'm not a criminal. I don't have anything to hide. Okay. Maybe that's true if you choose not to be a Christian or choose not to protect your family when they come in and they want to take something from you. But if you are a good person trying to do good in this world, then you do have something to hide. You have your family to hide. You have your family to protect. So this is just fear mongering. Oh, in a good way. Well, okay, they issue a ruling. I know the ruling that they said that it's unconstitutional. So great. They can't ban this bump stock anymore. Awesome, right? Well, no, because then it'll still be a back and forth thing. We don't listen to the U.S. Supreme Court anymore. It's an antiquated system. It's not necessary. The whole agenda there is to get rid of the Supreme Court and get rid of the Constitution, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I don't even bother reading articles like that. Let's move on. Federal judge puts a halt to Biden's Title IX rule, calling it a threat to democracy. Oh man, this is like nails on a chalkboard to me. Threat to democracy. We don't have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic, or we did, and they are trying to destroy that, but they keep putting the word democracy in everybody's mouth. I mean, I hear it everywhere. I hear every news story. It's 1 out of 100 times that someone will say republic, or even rarer that they say a constitutional republic. Those words are important. Those distinctions are important. And to call it a democracy is just a blasphemy, because a democracy just means the masses rule. But when your votes are stolen or misappropriated or coerced or just totally faked, then they're just trying to say this is what the masses want. And how can you prove otherwise? We don't have access to the voter rolls. We can buy them. They're very expensive, but the voter rolls are full of problems. I have bought them. I have them in my archives. I have looked at them, and they're ridiculous. The votes, we don't have a true, accurate recording of the votes. So for them to say this is what the public wants, no. I think we've already seen enough instances where they are just pushing through things like the Ukraine aid, $1 trillion stolen for the deficit and all this other stuff, like trillions of dollars. This is the very biggest heist in American history ever. In global history, this is the biggest heist ever. They are basically stealing everything from everyone. And then they're just like, oh, well, this is what the people want. It's not even a democracy, so it doesn't matter what the people want. It's constitutionally protected rights of a republic. Oh, I hate that. So I guess to look at the actual content here, federal judge puts a halt to Biden's Title IX rule. I don't even care. Um, let's look at it real quick. What is the Title IX rule? Yeah. Oh, gender. Okay. So mandatory protections for gender identity. No, I don't want this ad. Oh, you have to join to read this. Okay, that's retarded. Nope, not going to join. And also, protections for gender identity. No, we don't need more government involvement. We need less. We just need the government to stop pushing stupid policies. All right, dozens of tourists hiking fall violently ill with mysterious sickness. Okay, so more of the fear mongering. Oh, be afraid. Don't go outside. Don't go hiking because that's dangerous for you. Just like last year, they came out and said one of the most dangerous activities you can get that might cause heart failure is gardening. Gardening. Go look it up. They were like, oh, don't garden. You'll stir up stuff in the dirt and then you'll breathe it in and then you'll get like lung issues and COPD and you'll get heart issues and myocardia. Now we know that's a lie. We know where that really came from, didn't we? So, anyway, yeah, fear mongering for getting ill, going outside and hiking. Retarded. Photographer, mind blowing, rare animal, who cares? Secret Service agents, after Kamala Harris's details struck a superior, just drama with that lady. Trump weighs on an extraterrestrial life. Okay, distractions. Biden snaps a reporter for refusing to play by the rules by asking off-topic question. There's no rule that says they can't ask off-topic question. They probably asked about Hunter Biden's federal gun charges, or they probably asked about something else. I don't even know. Ukraine aid. They probably asked about Ukraine aid. But they don't have to play by the rules. There's no rules. And he should just be a better orator or speaker or president if he's, if you assume he's an elected president. No other president in history has ever gotten away with not answering questions and skirting around the questions and then speaking gibberish, constantly speaking gibberish that no one understands. No one's gotten away with that. All right, someone murdered someone in cold blood. Yeah, that's happening so much now. They want you to be afraid that your neighbor could kill you, that random people could kill you and your family. So fear mongering. Adults who skip college have important message for high school grads. Don't skip college, right? So this is the agenda. Go to college, get your indoctrination, and go into huge debt so that later, if you get out of line, we'll tell you we're going to pull your job and your ability to repay this loan, which could get you thrown in prison. Yeah, college agenda. Colleges are bad. Taylor Swift makes big announcement after celebrating. Who cares? All right. We'll just look real quick. Foreclosures on the rise. Yep, that was bound to happen. Another housing crash. I predicted the first housing crash in 2008, made a ton of money off of it. Everyone told me I was crazy. Housing market had never crashed and it would never crash. It's so stable. Every one of those people that made fun of me lost their butts. Underwater mortgages, lost their houses. I made bank. I tripled my money on my house and then bought cheap 2 years later. I'm seeing it again. All right, dangerous cities, fear mongering. America, yep, fear mongering. Yep, who cares? I don't care enough to see what his technology is. And this is the two-tier justice system just to make everyone angry that these agitators get away with things and pro-lifers get 10 or 20 years for like trying to save babies. Trump says he has an idea. Who cares about his VP choice? His last one wasn't so great. All right, that's all I'm going to do on this retarded site. Let's go to MSNBC. So this is the ultra liberal side. I got my hands on 400 Trump trial slides. Read the most noteworthy one here. These are just supposed evidence that makes him seem guilty. Who cares if he's guilty or not? I mean, I know whether he's guilty or not, but the thing is, their evidence is laughable. So anyway, this is just more fear mongering to divide the people and to give someone a talking point that they can just regurgitate when they're talking to you and be like, oh, Trump this, Trump that, because so many patriots and Christians these days are Trump supporters, but Trump is not our savior. You should not be looking to a man to pull us out of this. All right, Supreme Court reverses. Well, there you go. That's that again. Trump just proposed one of the most deranged policies of all time. Okay. I already know what that policy is. He proposed that we do away with income taxes. Interesting. And that we, what was it? We replace income taxes with much higher import tariffs. So actually taxing stuff that's brought in like from China and India and other places. Actually a pretty good idea. Like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of wild to put that out there only because no one ever had the balls to do it before. But maybe he's protected and being given some leeway, or maybe this is part of the Hollywood movie that we're watching right now. But so in the ultra liberal side of things, they'll call it the most deranged policy of all time to do away with income tax. Deranged policy. Okay. But on the ultra conservative side, they would probably pitch this as the most brilliant move ever. In fact, when we get to the Gateway Pundit, I'll be surprised if it's not on there. Who cares? Drunk uncle, who cares? All right. Hunter Biden verdict put Trump's allies in a bind. Okay. This is trying to somehow play the angle that Hunter Biden's guilty verdict for the federal gun charges is somehow a bad thing for Trump. So even good things are spun in a bad way. Okay, whatever. Paul Ryan slams Trump. Says he's unfit for office, but is it enough? They're kind of pushing this Paul Ryan guy as somebody to listen to, somebody important, and he's slamming Trump. So, yeah, well, whatever. That's just saying that he's a good guy. The liberals should listen to him. Why denying the massacre victims reparations is especially cruel? Oh, because we want to give everybody free money. But the problem is the free money doesn't usually go to the actual victims, parents, and the massacres. There is a conspiracy there. So I'm not going to go into that right now, but it's not a conspiracy theory. There actually is a conspiracy in all of these massacres throughout all of our history. So anyway, without saying more than that, to try to scare us from denying anything that's free speech. Don't go there. I don't have to justify or prove anything. Don't deny me my right to free speech. And I have a right to free speech because we live in a constitutional republic guaranteed by the Constitution. The law of the land is the Constitution, and that protects, it does not limit the people, it protects the people. So the law of the land actually protects the people. When they say you have to obey your leaders, I'll do a whole video on that. Obey your leaders, do what they say. That's a twisted deception. Really, we are protected for our free speech. So this is fear mongering. Don't deny the Black Lives Matter victims. Don't deny the massacre victims. Don't deny the person's gender preference. You have to speak the way they want you to speak. They want us to use the words they use because they can then control the narrative. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's just like the democracy. Don't use the words they use. Use the correct terminology. If you give in and use the words they use, they can change the meaning of words. I'll prove that if I need to. They have changed the meaning of words over time. They will give you a label like Christian nationalist if you believe that your rights come from God and not the government. What? I'm not accepting a label of Christian nationalist for just being a sovereign person. I'm not saying I'm a sovereign citizen. I don't even agree to be a citizen. I am simply a sovereign person, and I do have rights that come from God. That does not make me a Christian nationalist because they can change the meaning later to be a terrorist. Okay? I am simply a sovereign person. So don't get me started on all those words. Republicans reportedly prepping for possible convention where Trump is under house arrest. They really want to be like, he's a felon, he's convicted, it's house arrest, and blah, blah, blah. That whole thing. Flood funds. Who cares about DeSantis? Former prosecutor reveals why Trump probation officer needs to look closer. Just more of the two-tier justice system trying to go after him. This whole agenda here, it's not even about Trump. And they even told us once, truth in plain sight. They said it's not about Trump. It's just I'm in the way. They're coming after you. And that actually was true. What they're really trying to do is to scare all of us to allow them to just take over peacefully. Just allow them to take us over, or else they're going to start looking real close. And you know you've done something that they can put you in prison for. Or they can just make up something and put you in prison. They don't really need to prove it. They've proven that with the two-tier justice system. So look out. Don't let fear get you. Don't be afraid of this stuff. There is a peace that comes from knowing the truth. Don't let the fear get you. All right, I'm about to finish up here. The Merrick Garland vote shows not all contempt votes are created equally. I mean, two-tier justice, that guys, so many of those people have lied under oath in the courts, to Congress, you name it. No penalty. But get a true God-centered person up there and make you use the wrong word and they will punish them to the fullest. Ridiculous. Don't care. So, local news is collapsing. Something very alarming is filling the void. Okay, yeah, alarming. If it's alarming to them, it's probably a good thing. So I'm not even going to read that article. I'm going to read this ridiculous article that came up earlier in my feed, in my taskbar. I haven't seen it directly on here, but this is a story that was on MSNBC. And then I found, because I didn't want to bash this article if it was a misprint on MSNBC, but this is an article written by Emily Chan on June 13th, yesterday, 2024. There could be an elevator to space soon, sending people up in under 3 hours. Okay, interesting. That might get people excited to think, oh, I could take a trip to space. Probably can't afford it. Okay, whatever. But what that really is, an opportunity for the people who believe in globe Earth to say, then we'll finally prove you wrong, flat earthers. You can go up yourself and you can just see that the Earth is round. And let's see why that's just propaganda. This is just a talking point. Oh, right there. By 2050. I'm not waiting till 2050, and by then it's too late. So yeah, we need to find truth now. I have already found truth now, but 2050, no. Company in Japan, elevator to space, Tower of Babel, and maybe they'll call it the Tower of Babel. The company in question is Obayashi Corporation. Send humans in just 2.5 hours. International Space Station. All right, it has to move pretty quick to get up there in 2.5 hours. That's crazy. Space elevator would launch humans out of Earth's atmosphere at record-breaking speeds, reducing travel time to Mars by 40 days to 6 to 8 months. What does this have to do with Mars? Currently, the corporation is testing carbon nanotubes. Okay, big words. If you don't know what nanotubes are, they are tiny, absolutely microscopic tubes that typically are discussed for applications inside of human body in the blood to do things genetically or deliver medicine and things like that. Very, very, very tiny. Carbon, made out of carbon, okay. But what does carbon nanotubes have to do with this massive tube into space? Anyway, how will they help construct the elevator? Maybe artificial intelligence wrote this and just picked the wrong words. Artificial intelligence isn't that bright. It's also not a threat to humanity. The people who program it are the threat to humanity, and the people who program it is the reason artificial intelligence isn't that bright. Artificial intelligence will never be more intelligent than the people who program it. That said, topic for another day. I'll make a series of videos on AI. The elevator would have a 22,000 mile long tether. Good grief. Total length of almost 60,000 miles. Insane. It would use wheeled lifts called climbers to transport people and materials. Wheeled? It's going to use wheels? Like a train into space? What? All right, so they're going to use rockets to get the materials to build it. Space employ electric propulsion. This is what I found out about when I was a kid. Watch the videos that I'll make about gravity and the truth about gravity. Anyway, at that point, it would begin to orbit at the same. Okay, oh yeah. So they're just telling you, of course, you should believe that the Earth spins. Man, watch the video on why that's not true. Not saying I'm a flat earther, not saying I'm a round earther, just saying we're not spinning. That is so provable. We are not spinning. So then a lot of other things come into question because the way they explain round Earth all has to do with this spinning. When the spaceship is 22,000 miles away, it will deploy the carbon nanotube, okay, super tiny tube, which will have a thruster attached to its tip, as if it's a huge thing. So they obviously picked the wrong word. Nano is small. This thing is big. The carbon nanotube would reach the surface 8 months later, would get to its final altitude of 60,000 miles. This is poorly written. I mean, AI probably wrote this. This does not make a lot of sense. A climber will stretch out from the tube and be reinforced with cables. After being reinforced 500 times, the tube should be able to support a climber weighing 100 tons. Good grief. 100 tons. Wow. And it's supposed to get there in 2.5 hours? 100 tons in 2.5 hours? What? Oh, port would be on land and one at sea and connected by an undersea tunnel? That's ambitious. Climbers will soar, these 100-ton climbers will soar up the nanotube at approximately 93 miles an hour. That's pretty breakneck speed. In about 2.5 hours, they will arrive at the International Space Station. But wait a minute. Wait a minute. Something's not right here. This is why I had to go look up the original article. I don't know if it's going to show up, but I'm going to pull up my calculator real quick. I'll speak it out just so you know. So let's go back to basic elementary math here. 93 miles an hour for 2.5 hours means we do 93 times 2.5 hours. 232 miles and a half. How far do they have to go? 60,000 miles? They're only going to be 232.5 miles in 2.5 hours. So something doesn't work here, guys. All right, let's do it the other way. Let's say if they got to go 60,000 miles at 93 miles per hour, we divide by 93. 60,000 miles divided by 93 miles per hour gives us hour. 645 hours to get to the space station. That's a big difference from 2.5. There's 24 hours in a day. So if we divide 645 by 24, that leaves days. 26 days to get to the space station. Something's not right. Either it's not really 60,000 miles up and they're lying, or very badly mistaken and they don't deserve to be writing an article, or it's way more than 93 miles per hour. Let's see how fast it would have to be to do it in 2.5 hours. So we do 60,000 miles divided by 2.5 hours leaves the miles per hour. 24,000 miles per hour using wheels in a nanotube going to space. This is ridiculous. 24,000 miles an hour using wheels in space. And the human body simply cannot sustain those kinds of speeds in an atmosphere with G-forces. Oh, man. So I think if we use our critical thinking, I think the truth here, if they could even construct something like that, probably is the 93 miles per hour. Trains can go that fast with wheels that touch. Yeah, that's doable. So if it's 2.5 hours, then that means that the space station is really only 232.5 miles above the surface. Interesting. All right, that's that. Now, for the ultra conservative news, they hate these guys, but still can't trust them. Also, can't trust Google, can't trust DuckDuckGo, can't trust Yahoo or any of the search engines. So, who do you trust? God. You just don't trust these. You just don't trust these news sources, all owned by Rupert Murdoch or Bill Gates or whoever. They all have their agendas. All right, so let's look at what the ultra conservatives say. Smoking gun. Andy Biggs releases timeline proving Biden's direct collusion with prosecutors to take down Trump. This is kind of irritating because they say all these things. It's like proved it, but nothing happens. So in a way, this is kind of fear mongering that it doesn't matter how much proof someone has that there's wrongdoing, they're gonna get away with it. So even this, they need to do a better job of the way they word their titles. If they're not trying to if they're truly not trying to fearmonger and push that agenda. Epic. President Trump releases new video of Joe Biden's Jewels of Wisdom titled Timeless Quotes by Joe Biden. I watched that. That actually is kind of funny. It's just all of his gibberish and mumbling. You can't hardly understand anything he says. Pretty funny. U.S. Department of Commerce has a plan already in place to digitize the identities of all Americans receiving public benefits. Okay, maybe that's just a true article. It is a little bit of fear mongering in the sense of if you get public benefits, you're going to be one of the first to be digitized and have to do the digital ID, be tracked and traced, and all of that stuff. All right, they're coming for your guns again. Okay, so you see the other extent, the other extreme of the liberal side said the Supreme Court went against the Trump bump stock ban. Here they're coming for your guns again ahead of November. Okay, fear mongering over guns. Republicans overseas bring in $3 million haul for Trump campaign at London event. Biggest fundraiser outside America. I hate seeing all this money raised by these people because it's a uniparty and they're just stealing from the people who care and want. They're desperate to do something, but they don't actually do anything. The people won't get out and do much. I mean, there are exceptions. I do. I get out there and I do things. I used to go to the protests and I used to put out videos of truth. I used to meet politicians and go around and try to figure out who was legit and who wasn't. And guess what? Newsflash, none of them were legit. They were all bad. They were all worthless people. So, thanks for updating there. Messed me up. But yeah, so anytime I see them raising money, any charity, I'll make a separate video on this, but any charity, any fundraising, anything you think is good to give your money to, don't do it. Only support things that you truly believe that they are telling the truth. And a channel like this one is never going to be popular mainstream with millions and millions of followers because I'm telling you the truth. I am breaking it down. I'm only biased against lies. I'm not biased against anything else. So yeah, support channels like this because this is the only place that's going to shoot it to you straight. And I don't care if you donate or don't donate. I'm not going to hold back truth to get your donation. I'm only going to give you the truth always. All right, so they threw this in here. Supreme Court delivered a blow to gun grabbers. Oh, so they're just behind the eight ball, actually. So this is basically the same article that was on MSNBC. Then you're coming for your guns. So this Grant Stinchfield, he's the one that was kind of pushing that. These guys kind of consolidate stories from other people sometimes. All right, hilarious. White savior tries to warn blacks about MAGA event in Detroit they were heading to. I don't even care. MAGA, BLM, it's all just division. They're planning something big. Is traveling to Houston for court hearings. Sandy Hook families now want to take away his social media. This is all a big show. And Alex Jones avoided me. He was there a couple of times at some places I was at, like the Million Man March and few other places that we were traveling around to, and he was there, but I never met him. I just met some of the guys that worked with him, and yeah, he's I don't trust that guy, which is ironic because some of Alex Jones' earlier videos, like 2 decades ago, on the Bohemian Grove stuff, like that's why I started opening my eyes even more. Especially that this might be a spiritual thing, that they are worshiping Satan and dedicating babies and slaughtering babies, sacrifices. So it's ironic that he got me in as a truther, but I don't get a good feeling about him. I haven't for a while. I think he's controlled opposition. But anyway, revealed Pentagon ran major psyop aimed at discrediting China's COVID jabs, warned Muslims there was pork in the vaccine. Yeah, whatever. 1 in 4 Gen Z job applicants bring parents to interview. What? What? How is that even allowed? Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro calls Trump supporters profoundly and pathetically weak people. I love how they project. They project. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not any person supporter that's politics. Um, but for these people to call Trump supporters weak people is ironic. It's just ironic. Convicted felon Hunter. Okay, so see, they're doing what the liberal media does to Trump, convicted felon. They do it to the opposition. So they're both sides using these targeted keywords in the titles to make you think something before you even read the article. So I mean, just if you're going to give me the news, give it to me without your bias, right? Just say Hunter Biden drops lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani and former New York City mayor's ex-lawyer following a recent conviction. Good enough. You don't have to put convicted felon there, trying to make me think something. I already know. I mean, I already have so much of the evidence against Hunter Biden and his diary and his laptop. I have all that stuff in my archive. I don't need you to tell me something, make me think something. Steve Bannon, I served my country on a Navy ship. I served my country as a political person. Oh yeah, so he's such a hero. Um, just like Trump, I'll go to jail. Yeah, it's easy to go to jail when you got resources and money. Stanford Internet Observatory sued, finally shutting down. Man, this just rubs me the wrong way too. Yeah, they're censoring, they're getting away with it. If they're shutting down, that means there was no accountability. No one was held accountable. So they'll just get put somewhere else under a new name. It's that whole, if they get sued, they terminate the company, start up a new company, and business as usual. I don't know what Able Child is. Is the FBI using legacy tokens to shield mental health records and psychotropic drug cocktails of mass shooters from the public? Yeah. I mean, we know they're not telling us the truth. But what they're doing to get people to just do these crazy terrorist acts, home insurance rates and climate change, to money grab, all these excuses just to charge more money and make home ownership unaffordable. So anyway, all right, I think that's enough for today. That's basically the news in a nutshell, news and reviews. I hope you enjoyed this and that I didn't bore you. I really just wanted to show you how I'm going to go through these. Each time I do it, I'm going to look at the middle of the road and the far left and the far right. And bottom line, none of them can be fully trusted. None of them. Even the ones that there's an article and they're like 99% truth, that 1% is enough to throw the whole thing off. And I used to joke with some people. I would tell them, if I'm going to get like a bacon, a BLT, like just the most incredible bacon sandwich, just I love bacon. So like, do you get a BLT and you're 99% awesome BLT and you just put 1% poop in it? Would you eat it? No. So stop looking at the news that's fake unless you're looking at it through the filter of it. Where's the fake, right? So I'm going to help you guys with that. All right. Take care. Bye.